live now. And I gotta go to Facebook to make it up. Hello, everybody. Right. And then, all right. So anybody seeing this here? All right. Yes, we are live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, everybody joining in for this special edition of Ask a Coach-sultant with me, Rolanda Michele. But however, I have to say this is that we are we are joined with a few people today. It's a whole, as you can see right now, you guys can see a whole panel of people. So I'm gonna go ahead and pin myself so you guys can see me, only me. I'm gonna be very selfish right now so you can see me. So we're joined with a lot of people tonight, and tonight we're going to really get into talking about the election. So that's what we're going to be talking about, the results of election. I gave a little sneak peek of it uh yesterday, last week, and so forth. But I'm glad that everybody is able to join me here tonight. So we have a group of people in there. We're going to be liking and sharing this across social media. I know I have to go to my personal page and edit it so everybody can share it. So come in, like it, and share it. There's going to be another little thing that's a little bit different than what I usually do. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to join in the conversation. So you're going to be able to join in the conversation, talk to me, talk to my panelists. I'm going to introduce them to you, and then you can actually submit questions, ask your concerns as we talk through this. This is a great conversation that we're going to have. It is not about bashing this person or that person. It's not about your political affiliation. It's about where we are right now and where we're getting ready to go. So I hope you guys are coming in with open minds and ready to enjoy this conversation, because I sure am. So let me go ahead and give you guys the link to what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen with you guys in 1 second and go ahead into everything. So let's go. I hope you guys are ready. And my panelists, are you guys ready? You guys are quiet. Come on off mute and say, are you ready or not? Because I need to know as I'm getting
Ready.
Yes, ready.
Ready.
Ready, Freddie.
All right. I need to hear that. I need everybody to be ready like Freddie, right? I need you guys to be here ready like Freddie. So let me share something with you guys. So I'm going to share the screen and you can see this. So like I said, it's going to be a little bit different than tonight. So if you see on the screen right now, you should be able to see on the screen, it says joinslido.com and you see a number, right? On that number, if you are in here, and you can go ahead and scan a QR code or go ahead to it on a website, and I'm going to go ahead and put that website in the chats. You will be able to submit some questions to us. You'll not only be able to submit questions, you can tell us how you really feel. Tell me how you really feel. You'll be able to tell me how you're feeling. You'll be able to tell me, ask questions to anybody. You can easily tag somebody in or just say, if you have a question for a particular panelist, go ahead and put their name in there so they can answer the questions, and we'll go ahead and do it. So if you look at the screen, you see that Slido, go ahead and scan that QR code and come on in here and start joining this conversation, because it is for all of us. We're all in this together. No matter, like I said, no matter how you feel about the election, somebody was always going to be happy. Somebody was always going to be sad. And it's always about how we're going to go ahead and move forward in this whole situation called life. Okay. Right. So let's have at it. Let's have at it. Let's have at it. So are we at 8 o'clock yet, everybody? I don't think so. I don't think we're at 8 o'clock.
1 minute till.
9.
What? What?
It
all
just
right.
turned 8.
Let's turn 8. All right. So everybody on my panel, I want my panel to do something. If you guys haven't done it yet, go to LinkedIn, go to Rolanda at Rolanda Michele on LinkedIn, and on what is the other place I said? YouTube.
Facebook.
Go to my channel, right? And then find me, Rolanda Michele page, Rolanda RM Footman, Rolanda RM Michele on Facebook. That's my Facebook page. And you can go ahead and share that as well. So anybody is out here, if you are on Instagram for some reason does not like to work with my live stream. So I will tell you one thing that you can do. you can come on over, and I invite you to my beautiful page to to join me at YouTube. So come on over to the YouTube channel, and if you come over to the YouTube channel, you'll be able to view everything well. So if you're on LinkedIn and you're having a problem, not LinkedIn, LinkedIn usually fine. Instagram, it was the Meta. If you're on there and you're having a problem, I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat now so you can enjoy what we're talking about. So there's the Slido. So please go ahead, and I'll make sure we'll put this up periodically. So, all right, I'm going to stop that, and then I'm going to go ahead and unpin me so you can see everybody in here, right? You can see everybody going on and see what we're doing. So let's come in here, and what I want to do is get you guys to see who's here. So let's get started. And if you guys are started and ready to do like a round robin to introduce yourselves, we're going to get started with that. So you ready? So let's mute yourselves if you're not talking, because we're getting ready to all start talking. And let's go from here. So let's get started. It started in alphabetical order by last initial. So we're going to start everybody. It was in a right was that in a carousel? So we're going to start with Vicky first. I think it was Vicky. I remember everybody's name by alphabetical order, right? I feel like it was
V is not alphabetical order. Just kidding. So hi, everybody. I am Vicky. I am the founder of agingonyourterms.com, and where I share my family's personal stories on what they didn't do to plan for aging to, I guess, inspire you to make those thoughtful plans so that you don't make the same mistakes that they made. I'm also a former colleague of Rolanda, and I have 30 plus years of experience in healthcare administration.
Well, that is awesome. That is awesome. And the next person in line is Miss Sarah. So Sarah, how are you? So go ahead and introduce yourself, let them know who you are, why you're here, what you're talking about, and we're going to go from there.
Thanks, Rolanda. Sarah Dickinson here. I am happily the mother of 2 children who haven't given me any grandchildren yet. But I'm also, I've been in corporate America, a leader in corporate America for like 30 plus years in the IT space. But I've used my technical skills to work with small businesses and entrepreneurs and community organizations to build websites, marketing packages, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm just thrilled to be here, and I love Rolanda to death.
Oh, I love you too. I love you too. I love you too. I love everybody that's on this call, actually. That's why you guys are here. It's all came out of individual conversations that kind of bloomed into all of this. Next is the man of the group, right? He's here to put his masculine energy and put his little masculine spin on everything. So let's go ahead and talk to James. How are you, James? Introduce yourself to everybody. You're muted, sir. Can't hear you. We did hear you before. So I don't know what's going on. We did hear you before, but you just went out. Interesting. So we can't hear you. It says that you're muted. No, no dice, sir. No dice. We're not hearing you right now. Maybe is there another mic? Let's try to fix that, and we'll go down the lane and come right back to you so we can get your tech while you're working on your technical stuff. So let's go on over to, I believe the next person would be Miss Kiana. While James is fixing his stuff, and we'll come back to James.
Hello, my name is Kiana Footman, and I am the resident young person here. I'm a mother of 2 girls. I am a student, and I actually have a platform called Level Up Single Mom, where I teach single mothers and Black women how to self-actualize with ease and grace.
Well, that's nice. That is awesome. Wait, you're muted. You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you, James, but Kiana, did you mean to mute yourself? Because you seem like you're moving your mouth.
Okay.
No, that was it.
I saw you keep moving your mouth, and I'm like, are you okay now? All right, we'll get you out there and we'll put James back up on in center stage. Yes, we hear you now, James. We hear your beautiful voice.
Outstanding.
All right, so introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, my name is James Diggs. Spent over 30 years in corporate America, and I am a business owner. I have a personal chef and catering business, and I've always tried to be involved locally in how we make changes, but also understanding what the national level and how that affects us as well. Glad to be on such an awesome panel this evening to share thoughts with everyone.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so we have some more people to do. So we have Sharon, and then we're going to have Katie. So go ahead, Sharon. You can introduce yourself in your organizations that you are representing.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Sharon L. Hobson. I am actually the president of Morgan State University Alumni Association here in New Jersey. I am also the president of the Soaring Pearls. It's an interest group of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I am the president of that as well. And I'm also the Eastern area of the Links Incorporated nominating chair. So I belong to a great amount of service organizations, and I'm so glad to be here to be a part of this panel tonight. Thank you, Rolanda.
Thank you, Sharon. So yeah, so we have some people here, and last but not least, the resident doctors in the house, Dr. Katie. I know you work hard for that. I know you work hard for that PhD. So Dr. Katie, you got it.
Well, thank you. My name's Katie Venter. I am a social scientist by training. I work extensively in the K through 12 system, but I also teach in college as well. So I'm pretty involved in education. I currently work full-time supporting my husband in his nonprofit organization, the Play for Peace Initiative, which is heavily rooted in social justice initiatives. So that's what I've been doing. And I've known Rolanda since high school, which is lots of love, Rolanda.
Yes, lots of love, not years, just love. We graduated, what, 3 years ago, and you were able to get through, PhD, all that. Yeah, 3 years. That's all it took us, right? So awesome, awesome, awesome. So this is a great panel. So what we're going to do, we're going to get started, and I want to ask a question, and we're going to do a round robin because this conversation is going to start. It all was rooted into everybody's reaction to the 2024 presidential results. Again, like I said in the beginning, we all knew that somebody was going to win, somebody wasn't going to win, and we knew that at least half of the country was going to feel one way and then half of the country is going to feel the other way. We just didn't know what side, we were going to land on, but we understood that. And we also knew coming into there, as soon as Biden stepped back, is that we were going to have a brand new president come 2025, right? So with that meaning changes, but with every presidential election, there is some adjustment periods for people socially, economically, educationally, because of all the policies. So with that happening, when the election came, there was a loud cheer and a loud cry, right? If we're all being honest, and as a business consultant and strategist, I understood that regardless of what was going to happen, but we have to think about this and not any, and then, we can feel the emotions, but we have to be strategic and thinking things forward. So we're going to do this tonight. We're going to go through these feelings, and everybody's going to give me a round robin of how they felt about their election, where they felt that, and then we're going to try to have this conversation and moving to a positive impact of where we can possibly go together to make things better for all of us. It's not about one person. So me personally, I'll just say I'll go first. I was okay. If I'm honest, I wasn't shocked. Sarah can attest to this, that she talked to me at the day after Biden won, and she was ecstatic, and I bust her bubble and said, "Why are you so happy?" I said, if this was such a change of we want to go into direction, it would have been a landslide that Biden won. So by this election making it a landslide in any other direction, I wasn't very surprised at all. So yeah, I knew that he was going to win. I knew it in my heart. I just, as Sharon can say that I knew it too, because she had these conversations with me. So but I was always realizing that whatever happens, we have to be prepared either way. And now knowing where we are, we have to take certain things in consideration and take people for what they say and not what we think. So that's where the strategy part comes in. So that's me. So we can go around Robin. Sarah, you're in the top corner in my screen, so I'm just gonna go like around my screen the way it is, like a snake. So it'll be Sarah, then I go to Vicky, then James, and then Katie. Last will be Sharon. So go ahead, Sarah, first. How did you feel? What was your reaction? Did you cry? Did you laugh? Did you have did you celebrate? What did you do?
So I would say that I am less based in reality than Rolanda. I was very emotional I was very emotional about it. And I was very shocked by my fellow Americans. And I was sad, very, very sad. And I'm tired of the division. And there are so many people, I don't want to say on the other side, but there are so many people who voted differently than me, put it that way, that I just love to death. And so I'm tired of disliking. I'm tired of being angry. I'm trying to find the common ground rather than be in my, immediately I was so angry about it and just disgusted. And I just let myself feel that way. But in my heart, I'm just tired. I'm tired of being angry. So I'm trying to find, like you said, Rolanda, we have to plan, but we can't be afraid of the unknown. We can't live in fear of what we don't even know. And so anyway, that was my reaction. And I talked to Rolanda and she was like, "Oh, I knew it was going to happen." I was like, "What? How could you know?" But she did. She was right.
I've been predicting the same election since so let me tell you the election I got wrong. The election I got wrong, the last election that I got wrong was Al Gore. That was so thing.
I was going to say that too.
Al Gore, every election after that, I called it. Even when Trump won the first time, I told everybody he's going to win. They were like, "No, he's not." And I told them how, because I looked at the math, and people said that I should be not a business strategist, that I should be a political strategist, because I told them he had the path to win. So I don't know. I love politics. I mean, I can say right here, okay, you guys can see this right here, this little book right here. This little book is the Constitution. So I keep it next to my desk, and I have the Articles of Confederation over there. So I kind of love the Constitution. So and memorize those things. So I kind of know how it works. Yeah, nerdy. Yeah, don't tell anybody. All right, Vicky, you're next.
I'm also in the Rolanda camp. I was actually not surprised, and the reason why I'm not surprised is 30 plus years in corporate America. This country is not ready for a female president. I don't care. She could have been even way more qualified. She could have just been, I don't know, Obama, Biden, all the good presidents rolled into one, but wearing a dress. No one was going to vote for her because we just have not broken that glass ceiling. So this does not surprise me at all. But one of the things that I preach, on my YouTube channel and my blog is you have to take control of things that you can take control of. And that's all that we can do. To sit in fear, to sit upset and angry over something that hasn't happened yet, you're only robbing yourself and stealing life from yourself today. So I'm in the Rolanda camp. I'm going to wait and see what happens. But at the same time, I am also putting in those plans to take control over what I can't control. Rolanda, you're on.
I mean, yeah, I got him. Unmute
Okay.
myself. Here you go. So I got you. I feel you. I'm there with you. You know, I'm here, and it's like, it's not. I'm not really disappointed, but I'm disappointed when I just knew we weren't ready. I just knew I think we were ready if we think about it, and we'll talk that conversation about education wise. But as socially, how we're socialized, I think is different. So let's go ahead, James. You're a man. You voted. So what happened? How do you feel about everything?
Um, I will say I was hopeful, understanding that it was not necessarily going to work out in that way. But I think as a minority in this country, hope is something that we have clung to for such a very, very long time. Um, what struck me, what hurt me the most was I have had a hard time processing how you look at a situation, a person, what they say, what their actions are, and deliberately vote against your own interest. That people who touted themselves to have certain value systems in place felt like they wanted to figure out how they could separate their values and justify something that in their heart of hearts they know is completely wrong. And that's a tough pill to swallow. It's hard to understand, and it's like if it could be that prevalent and that in your face, like where does the hope lie now?
Right. All right. Right. So I think for me, and we could talk about where does hope like now. Let me take that note because I don't want to divert the conversation, right? And want to keep going on and going this round robin. So you go ahead, and I'm gonna talk about that because that is a question that we need to be asking ourselves as a community. Okay. So go ahead, Katie. You're next.
I'm going to echo a lot of what we just heard is I'm struggling with how you can proclaim to have values and these all-American values that we like to talk about. And then you voted for that. And we do know what this is. I struggle with people that know, looked at facts, heard the words, see the numbers, and chose not to go with that. They bought into they drank the Kool-Aid and they believe in this mythology. And it makes me, as an educator, it makes me really upset that so many are so willing to put aside ethics, morality, and even facts for numbers or for this myth. And that bothers me as an educator. I'm also my research interest, or one of my research is heavily into looking at the relationships between police officers and the communities they serve, and looking at how you promote this positive relationship filled with dignity. And when you start to think about what's going to happen next, I'm a little bit worried. I'm more than a little bit worried. And that's what bothers me if you want to project out into what I foresee happening in both the education and the law enforcement side. It's a little bit concerning, and I think it's going to affect people in ways that they don't really realize yet. If you can put all this propaganda and nonsense up on your social media and not know what it means, that's really alarming. And I think that they don't know what's coming, and I'm worried, very worried about the future.
And I hear you. I hear you on that. And yeah, I hear you. I can't even say anything else. I hear you, and I feel the same. So Kiana, you go ahead and you tell us what you want to do. And before anybody says, before you say anything, everybody is watching. I put the link in there for Slido. Just go there and submit some questions, submit your comment, and tell us how are you feeling? How did it impact you? So go ahead, Kiana, tell us how it impacted you.
So in real time, I was with my online community that I spent a lot of time with as things were happening. I was very tired, and we were watching the coverage, and it was just like my optimism going. As the hours went by, it was about 12:01 at night when I realized, okay, this isn't going my way. So I just kind of disconnected the call, turned over, went to sleep, said I'll deal with this in the morning. I found when I woke up in the morning, I had a lot of anxiety about going outside. I was very afraid. I was just like, who is around me? I don't know if it's that many people, you know what I mean? Like, who is really around me? Am I in danger? I had a lot of anxiety. I was fighting off the urge to just grab my baby and run to God knows where. But that was just, I just kept feeling this feeling of, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. I avoided social media for about a good week. And as the days went by, I just found myself thinking, like, it's never going to happen in my lifetime. I don't think that I wasn't thinking about what it would actually be like if Vice President Harris didn't win. I was just so focused on, I want it to happen. I'm going to vote. I'm having the conversations, things like that. But once it didn't happen, it was just that, oh my God, this other thing that I was very aware of could happen is happening. And what are the implications of that? What are the implications of, their game plan? What are the implications of the things that can be implemented within these next 4 years? And the far reaching impact that will have even into my youngest child's lifetime. And so that's been what's been kind of I've been sitting with.
Wow. Yeah, I feel you. And I can see the emotion in your face already building up as you're talking about it. So, woosah, get some water. I think we all felt that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, right. So, Sharon, you're last but not least bringing it on a round table. How you felt? Don't.
The way everybody's feeling. I will say that I do remember, I can't out, it'll never escape me. It's there every day. The day that Joe Biden decided to step down. And we were having lunch with a dear friend of mine that I just lost on Friday. We were celebrating her 70th birthday. And we were all excited. Oh my goodness. And then when I got home, well, first of all, my reaction was, she's never going to win. I took it there. A woman of color, we're not ready for a woman, especially a woman of color. I've been in corporate America many years. It has not happened for me. I'm just like, I'm educated. She was educated. Right away, I was just like, it's not going to happen. And my friends were like, oh, no, don't. So when I got home that night, it was like all these calls for Kamala. We're going to do this. Everybody was and so now I'm starting to feel a little different, right? And Kamala is my sorority sister, so I feel a little different about that. And she's my Link sister too. So, and she's my HBU sister because I graduated from a HBCU as well. So now I have all these different groups. They are, coming together for Kamala. I'm starting to feel hopeful, like when it was Barack Obama's time to run. And I'm like, wow, all these people are doing this. So then I get on the call the next night with men. And then I get on the call another night with women that were white supporting her. I was so enthusiastic. Then I heard about the white dudes and I'm like, whoa, she really has a backing. She's going to do this. But in the back of my mind, it was still saying, I don't think it's going to happen. So I have to say, I feel like everyone else on the call, I was hopeful, but I was very hurt. And I'm going to tell you why I'm hurt. Because this country is going backwards. I went to her rally, her first rally, when she introduced her running mate in Philadelphia. I saw so much hope out there. I saw young people, I saw old people. I mean, it was unbelievable what I saw that that day. And I worked the polls. Okay. So I had an opportunity to see the enthusiasm. So I'm not quite there. I'm still not there with how this all happened and how all this came about. You know, I have I'm an analyst, so I'm always little thinking things and putting things together and puzzles and so forth. So it's not sitting well with me at all. But I commend her, as I was saying to my 80 plus year old mom. She would kill me if I told people her age. Um, I am so proud of her and the way she carried herself during the whole presidential cycle, or, preparing herself for the election. She was gracious in the beginning and she was gracious at the end. And I am so proud. I'm so proud to be that close to her, being a woman of color, being her sorority sister, being her Link sister, her HBCU sister, all of that. I am so happy for her, even though the journey was not what we wanted or what we expected. However, God has another plan for Kamala D. Harris, and I see it. And I really, truly believe that God is protecting President Joe Biden and Madam Vice President Kamala Harris from something. And that's why it went the way that it went. So that's just my feeling on that.
Can I just add something real quick? I mean, Sharon, you made a very poignant point, and it's about how she carried herself. You look at when Barack burst on the scene. It was about how he carried himself. It resonated with people because they did not purely see him as a Black man. Mm-hmm. They saw him as someone that I can take to the party. They saw him as someone that fit within the scope of what is right. And I have to say that Kamala, my mother is her soror, my sister. She carried herself. And to go back to just a point that I was making is I am saddened by the fact we do not, or there is a large swath of people in this country where decorum, accountability, and the basic things that you teach your children. And I just have to throw this out very quickly. I had a conversation with someone who thought very differently with me about this, and the concern they had of issues of, their children, they could go to school and come home a different sex, and just so many of these other things. And my question was, first and foremost, what if your child or your grandchild came to you and said, here are things about this person that go against what you say is supposed to be right. How did you support them? Mm-hmm. And my thing is, if habitually lying, stretching the truth, whatever you want to put that out there as, if habitually degrading other ethnic groups and people in general does not bother you and does not matter, then you might as well teach your children and grandchildren the same way of the world. Mm-hmm. You might as well teach them to be that person. Mm-hmm. Because you have given license to that person being who they are, and nothing else matters. And again, to go back to how you carry yourself and how people view us. And that is extremely important to me as a Black man in America. I have had to navigate through corporate America. I've had to carry myself in a manner that I have to always be aware of how I speak. We get judged by dress. by things that are inherently us, from our hairstyles to dreads to Vicky, you have a shortcut. You know, these are things that it's like, this is what makes it hard. For me, those are the type of situations and things that make it hard for me to just to deal and consume all of this that we have had to deal with. So I'm sorry, but I just needed to, that just spurred something in me. I just needed to let you know,
I'm going to
So-
add in. I'm going to add in on that one because, I found it the double-edged sword because she was a woman.
Yes, absolutely.
And because she was a woman, and and this is not denigrating in any way, shape, or form, that she had an affair a long, 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 long time ago. But every single one of his current wives were the result of an affair, and so that's why I said that's why I knew when they started to hold up this candle that she had to be the Statue of Liberty, and whatever he said or did, it didn't matter. And that's why the same thing happens in corporate America. James, I'm pretty sure you've seen it too. We were held to a completely different standard rising up the ladder in corporate America. And when I saw that, unfortunately, that they picked a black woman, I was like, great, white woman didn't win. There's no way in the world a black one's gonna win.
And to go a little bit step deeper on that, literally, I had to have had to have the cable guy come out to my house.
Lord.
All right. Now,
Okay.
mind you, no. This is a very quick story because it goes
Okay.
to the point that Vicky was making. All right. And as he came in, I was on the phone with someone. We were discussing the election. This is prior to last Tuesday. And he was an African American man. And he's like, oh, so you vote for her? And I was like, first of all, I wanted to understand why he was making that statement and what his justification was as to why he may not. At that point, I was in conversion mode. And so I asked him a few questions. And of course, due to misinformation and the fact that everybody doesn't go to try to find out the truth, so I went back and forth with him to squash some of those things. And then he brought up the fact that she was married to a Jewish man. And I said, well, wait a minute. You do know that Clarence Thomas is in an interracial marriage, right? He didn't even know who Clarence Thomas was.
Wow.
So, and at that point, I was floored. And see, this to my point of the misinformation and the fact of the judgments, as you said, sure, she had an affair back then. But not only has this man had an affair, he's had them with what some would consider to be scrupulous women. While his wife was pregnant, and each of them came after the other.
Yeah.
And so it just that these are the situations that just alarm me and that hurt me because it's like you don't even know enough to know what you know.
Mm-hmm.
And are making a decision that so many, I keep saying, you look at the cabinet that he's picking, you look at things, so many people are going to wake up and realize we took the wrong pill and went down the rabbit hole.
Renee, I will say that you are absolutely right. So now what I want to do is I'm sharing my screen right now. And if you can see my screen, ladies, okay, we have people joining in the chat. This is supposed to be interactive. So let's look at what some other people have put in here and let's talk about these. But I want to jump down to the second question. Can you guys see the question? Everybody in there, you guys can see it, right? Awesome. Okay, so yep. So the second question, that's to Katie and Sarah, right? Okay. So your black sisters is asking y'all some questions. They need, they want you to give them the tea or something, because we need to understand how we supposed to get through all of this in this whole climate, with what's going on. So looking at this, the question that we see is that what advice would Katie and Sarah give to women of color to in navigating this administration? This is a good question. And guys, please, as you can see, and I do see some things in the chat, and I'm going to address those too. I really want everybody to be interactive, and this is awesome. So let's go ahead and answer that question. Katie or Sarah, which one of you guys want to answer this first? Because we want to know. Inquiring minds want to know.
I can go first, Katie, unless you'd like to.
She said she shook her head like she did a shrug.
Okay.
Katie's very nice and passive, so she's sweet like that. So
okay. Well, I'm not. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're very you want to claim your space.
So I've been around for a while, and the thing I have to keep reminding myself is this too shall pass. And I have a cousin who reminded me of that, and it is true. We did survive the Bush administrations. We did survive, not all of us survived the Trump previous administration. So it is passive. Oops, sorry about that, guys. I don't want to be passive. I want everybody to be aware and be informed, but I don't want people to feel defeated, because it's not over. And, Kiana said she's losing hope that this will happen in her lifetime. Well, I can tell you, I'm probably twice your age. And I never thought I would see Barack Obama in my lifetime, ever.
Right.
So, my family, my parents flew to Washington, D.C. to watch him be inaugurated because they were so excited. They never thought they would see it either. So don't lose hope. Be hopeful. Also be strong. Be aware, and be leaders. People are going to look to people to help them through this and to stay positive, but aware, not la da 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 da. Nothing's going to happen. It's all good. No. We need to be aware and informed, but we also need to support each other, and we need to help each other get through it together. I myself, as I mentioned, I haven't gone to that level where I'm educated. I still can't even look at the news. So, I'll get there where I'll dig in, and, we were right there toe to toe with George Bush those years, and we got through it, but, this too shall pass.
Yep. It will. And we'll get through it together.
Sarah, can I, Rolanda,
Katie,
I just want to add this. No, I am. But this is to Sarah and Katie, because it's a part B, and I'm only asking this because it's something that I continually hear. And respectfully, I want to ask you to also, a lot of Black women felt that white women abandoned them in this election. And
we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that because me and Kate,
okay, I just that question. I just thought that would be a part. That's all. So I just thought, as that came, my bad.
Yes. Katie started smiling when you said that, because me and Katie was on a call. I don't even know. We were like on 4 hours. I don't know how long we were on the phone for. It was like 4 hours. We were on the phone going through this, figuring this out. So we'll talk about this. So the question was, what advice would you give to women of color navigating through this, through this administration? Because we can cry and overspill milk, but we need to figure out a way through this. I've been saying this, I don't want to survive this, I want to thrive through this. So what advice would you give to them from your perspective? And if you want to address his question, we can get into that right now about, because I know you have your feelings about how white women did in this election. I let you, we blew off steam that day. So I know you have a feeling on that. So you can absolutely address that too. And then I'll let Sarah ask that question. We can get into that as well.
Well, I wish the answer that I could give is team up with white women. There's solidarity there, but that's not reality, is it? Or at least it has not, really shown up in Hillary Clinton's election or in Vice President Harris's election, which is astounding to me that it would seem like this would be a really strategic partnership, but it's not. And it hasn't been since the 1960s. Let's be honest. When affirmative action came on the scene, some of us benefited and some of us clearly did not. So we can't pretend that that's a viable answer right now. I'm going to say to it's kind of weird that I would be advising at all a woman of color. But if I were to give any advice at all, I would say, be savvy. So I hear a lot of how Rolanda navigates, and Rolanda's navigating through a very white male space, and she's savvy about it. She doesn't have this these beer goggles on thinking everything's going to be wonderful. It's not. And I think you kind of know anticipate where these issues are going to come up. Second thing, call out the nonsense. Call it out and be loud. You've been loud before. You got to keep on. You got to be loud. Call it out. When things and facts and figures are not making sense, or when you're not being treated fairly, call it out.
So wait, I'm going to stop you right there, because Katie, you said something, and that was very your demographic of you, okay? And I'm going to say that because, I can say this to Katie because I saw Kiana's face. I can say that because me and Katie are talking real, and I really want to have a real conversation about this. It's because we as Black women cannot be loud. We cannot, because when Kamala, just think about how they reacted to Kamala being assertive. If we are assertive in places like, you know how it is for a white woman to be assertive. Well, let's times that by 100, by 1,000. If we as Black women are assertive in those places that they don't want us to be seen nor heard. So we have to do. I will never tell any person not to find their voice, right? I will never say, don't you speak up for yourself. Don't you dare do that, because we do need to talk to it, talk about where we are, but also understand that we have to accept people for who they are and where they're going to put us, right? Right. We have to, if you don't want it, I've been saying this, Sharon's been hearing me saying this all week. If you don't want to play with me, I'm going to take my ball and go home.
Loretta.
Because I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something at the end of this. Black women, are you out here? I'm going to tell you something. You got something. You got something that they want. All of them. And I'm going to tell you what it is at the end. And it ain't what you probably think it is, but I'm going to tell you what it is. And I'm going to tell you how we went through this, because at the end of this, it is about moving forward. And we can't just say, oh, forget the white people. There are, as we can see, that's why I wanted to make sure I got Katie and Sarah on this, because I wanted to make sure that you saw that there is diversity in this. Sure. and because we're not alone. There are some people that they understand where we are. So, Katie, I just wanted to let you know this, and I'm going to let you continue now. Right? I want to continue now because
and when I talk to any females of any color, I always say to them, you need to stand up. Don't be invisible. Too many of us are invisible. And that's especially true of our women of color. But more importantly, though, when you do speak up, you better be fully prepared to pay the consequences and to stand alone. And women don't realize that. Oftentimes you will be standing alone, because for you, maybe you can stomach the consequences, but the lady next to you can't. And we have to understand it and accept it and forgive it and just live with it. And I think the last thing that I wanted to end on is, and at risk, and so please indulge me here, because white people conversation dominates the conversation all the time. But I think in this particular case, it's important to understand the psychology of the white people in the United States right now and why they're drinking the Kool-Aid. Why do they believe the myth? You know, and really understanding that, because I think that is key for us getting out of this. The gravy train has to get cut off, and we have to start living in the land of facts and reality. And a lot of that has to do with this mythology that is like cult-like, that people are just digging into. The dog whistle that people are responding to. We have to
Absolutely.
understand it, because there's so many times that I'm in a room and I'm hearing the dog whistle and I'm like, I'm really uncomfortable. I do not like what I hear. But I'm surrounded by, you know, a mixed audience, and the people of color don't hear the same thing I'm hearing. And the white people are just drinking it up. You know, they're loving what they hear. And I think that we really need to dig into what that is and why are people responding to it like this? It's a little bit alarming for me.
So can
But
I
we
ask you this
do,
question?
trust me, we do.
Yeah, we do
We
hear,
do
but
hear the dog whistle.
we do. So I want to ask you a question is this: when you're in those rooms, and there's another question for Kiana, and then there's asking about who the women of color are on here, and we'll reintroduce ourselves. Yes, some people are joining. When you hear those things, and I'm going to say this to when you're in those rooms, what do you feel is your responsibility as a, and I'm not going to say as a white woman, as a white person, but as a human being, what is your responsibility in those moments when you hear the stuff like, like that makes you go, the thing, you know, what Arsenio Hall said, things that make you go, like, you know what I mean? When you hear those things, like, what are you doing? And Sarah, I want you to get in this too, because we're not privy to those conversations in those rooms, and me and Katie talked about this plenty of times before, is that black people can't change the way that white people act, right? We only can change what we do, but it's imperative that, you know, the people that are like you that understand it are the ones that have to check yourselves, right? And we have to check ourselves in what we want to be doing too. So tell me, Sarah and Katie, you can start because you were already on the hot seat, and I'm going to bring Sarah in here. And oh, I'm really getting good at this, y'all. Can't y'all see that? And I'm going to unpin myself and let you two talk it out, and you're going to tell me what you guys are going to do when you're in those conversations. And then Kiana, I'm going to come to you with the question that we have for you.
I guess I'll start out. When we're in these types of spaces and situations, it becomes really important to start calling it out. So the advice, and going back to what would I advise women of color navigating this upcoming administration, I feel like I'm very weak in giving advice to women of color, because they're showing up and they're doing what they need to do. But for the women that find themselves aligned with my viewpoint, you have to call it out. As an educator, I feel it's a moral imperative to start calling out this nonsense, because there are huge gaps in critical thinking that allowed this cult and this mythology to propagate. And that's a real issue for me. So I'm finding as I get older, and Rolanda will tell you, you know, sometimes I'm not a very pleasant person to hang out in the room, especially a crowded room. And I don't really lose verbal arguments very often, because I'm a tough one to take on when it's wrong, and I'm very passionate about it. And you know, my family, I am white and I navigate through this world as a white woman, but my family, we're a mixed family. So we're now talking about my family members, and you know, I do show up when that conversation starts getting real personal.
Yeah, you joined you came over to our side of the America. You got a glimpse. No, me and Katie had this conversation about that she lived in her world, and when she married her husband, she said she called me and we were talking. She said, "Oh my God, I didn't realize." She said, "I heard about this second America, but I'm living this other America that you guys have to go through." She said, "It's exhausting. How did you do this all your life?" And I said, "Are you?" And I said, "Katie, are you getting ready to leave us?" She said, "No, I'm in it for life." And I said, "All right."
Yeah, that cookout is different.
Yes.
That's
In
a
the
different
most,
cookout.
you know, the color thing shows up in the strangest of places, even when, and we live in super liberal America. It's Salem, Massachusetts. Our crosswalks are rainbow painted. But it shows up when we cross the streets, because I just step into the crosswalk and keep on walking. Cars will stop for me. Plus, I got my Philly girl attitude, but cars will stop for me. My husband stops and waits, and he looks carefully. He is alarmed by my behavior and the fact that I haven't gotten ran over by a car. And I'm like, it's never going to happen because they stopped for me. And he's like, they would never stop for me. And he's not wrong. He's not.
Mm.
So it shows up in the weirdest of places, or when we walk into, a Mexican restaurant, he'll get approached and they'll speak to him in Spanish. He doesn't speak any Spanish. They'll approach him first. And it's weird how we navigate through world. It's very, very different. We get treated very, very differently in stores. And I grew up poor. I guess what they would call white trash. I grew up with low socioeconomic class. I don't come off as being very fancy. I've got my Philly accent going on, but we still get treated very differently.
I'm
Yeah.
shaking
Yeah.
my head because I'm right there with you because I'm on the opposite side. And my husband is white, and we went to the same high school, and he didn't see the same things in high school that I saw. He didn't see the teacher that gave me an F, and I was floored that I got the F on a group project and nobody else in the group got an F.
Wow.
And so my white band teacher stood up for me, and he basically said, "Hey, I got this student who wrote this paper," and he took my name off of it and he gave it to her, and she regraded it and he gave her an A. He goes, "Then why the hell did you give her an F?"
Wow. You told me that
And
story.
and so and then we're married is the same thing. We'll walk into a store and the salesman will run over and approach him first, and like I don't even exist. So yeah, I totally get where what you're talking about, and it's completely different. And you just like, how could this be, especially in 2024, 20, it doesn't make any sense. Like we even talk about the fact that the year he was born was the year it was legal for us to get married.
Wow.
It wasn't legal before that.
Wow.
Wow, that's all. But I mean, I'm, like I said, this is a mixed group here. So
Mhm.
Sarah, I want to get you to get in that question, and what are you going to do, or what do you feel as though you should do in those spaces, or how you can maneuver in those spaces? Are you comfortable to maneuver in those spaces to say, "Hey, you're wrong, dude," or "Lady," or "Do that," whatever it is, for that?
So I am in California, so I'm dripping in liberalism everywhere I am. So it's hard for me to relate to the rest of the country, and again to these results. It's very, very hard. And but every once in a while, and I will say to Katie's point, I am going to dig deeper to the opposite end of the spectrum so that I too can understand them a little bit better, because I certainly don't. And I've never tried, because it goes against so much of what we've all been saying: morality, what's right and wrong, you know, so much. Anyway, but when I am in those spaces, the first time Trump was, well, I guess maybe it was the 2020 election, I wasn't very nice about it. Because people were very aggressive, and they would come up to me and go, you don't understand, and they were very aggressive. So I would just point and laugh, and I'd be like, I thought you were smarter than that, and I was not very nice about it. But it was a defense to get him away from me.
Mm.
Now I feel differently. Now somebody said to me just recently that they were positive that January 6th never happened and that those were plans. And I said, you know what? I deal in facts. So if you have facts that support this, bring the facts.
Mm.
I'll accept the facts. And I think that's my answer now to that kind of shenanigan kind of thinking
Mhm.
is, do you have facts for that? If you don't have facts, then I'm not interested in listening to that.
But they never
And,
do.
exactly. But
They
you're
Yeah.
pushing
never
them,
actually can do it in facts.
they want to keep blah, blah, blah. Well, you don't know, you don't understand. Well, you don't have facts. So, you know, uh, it's maybe a little bit more of a defense, but it's forcing them to address the fact that they have no facts to prove what they're saying.
Yeah. And And that is true, and I appreciate it, right? And I appreciate you guys saying this because at the end of it, we all have to think about this. So let me answer the question, and I'm going to go to Kiana. So um, and I think there is a okay, there's a question for you, Katie, too, now. I'm going to say to the Black women on the panel. So I'm Rolanda Michele. I am a coach-sultant. I come here every Wednesday. I have a live session. I teach people about business. I'm a business owner. I own several businesses. I am a strategic management consultant. I help businesses and I to start your business and grow your business. I have a class. I actually have my own academy that I made for small businesses to teach them how to navigate this world. Boy, was I ready for this because I started it in January and we're going to be moving over into a whole different way. So we have a lot of classes to help people to navigate this because part of it is going to be about economy. We have Vicky. Vicky. I don't want to say that because I know that's not what you're doing, but Vicky is a I don't want to say influencer, right? Because you don't want me to say you have a business. So
I wouldn't say that I'm an influencer. I'm an inspirer. I am trying to motivate people to make plans for their life as they age outside of planning for just saving for retirement. You've got to think about, your estate plans. And I don't want to hear people say I don't have enough money to have an estate plan. Everybody should have an estate plan because it's really about who's going to take care of you when you can't. It's not about just who gets your stuff. So you got to make all those thoughtful plans. You got to think about how you want to live your life. And you got to also be really upfront and honest about your abilities and your inabilities as you get older so that people can step in and help you. And so that's what I do. I try to make people see from the mistakes my family made. You don't want to make those. You want to take care of yourself.
Gotcha. Kiana, you're right here in the corner. So I'm coming down the screen. So who are you? Because they want to know who the women of color are. So I think you're colored.
That I am. I'm also a mother of 2 girls. I'm a student and I am an advocate for single mothers. I have a platform called Level Up Single Mom where I teach single mothers and Black women how to self-actualize with ease and grace. And that includes a book that I wrote.
Awesome. And last but not least, Miss Sharon, Miss, I don't know. I think
I'm gonna talk about community.
Right, you are an activist, like all the stuff.
I guess I am. Yeah.
So, you don't think you are, but everything
I guess I am. And I come from a family that my grandmother was all about civil rights. I mean, she had her children marching with her when she was a young mother. And that's been instilled in me, our rights as people. I probably, it's 3 of us, out of the 3 children that my parents had, was the most vocal about rights. And I still might be a little vocal about our rights and how I feel, but I am about community and helping my community. I'm in a lot of service organizations where, one that I'm very proud of to be a part of. Well, actually, I'm proud to be a part of all of them, but one that that I do a lot with is my sorority, which is Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And we are a service to all mankind. And that is the same organization that Madam Vice President belongs to. And you saw that during her campaign. Not only did you see our sisters rallying around her, but you saw other Divine Nine organizations as well that supported her. So I guess I am an advocate,
Thank you. That's the first part. You have to admit it to yourself. And then we can take it from the next step from there because you just like, no, I just do stuff. Yeah. Okay.
But I service everybody. I mean, I help everybody, not just
Yeah, no, we get it. We get it. We understand. You're equal opportunity helper. We got it. So so Kiana, how are you intending to help your daughters as they age during this administration? Well, one of them is already aging, and the other one is I don't mean like that, but you know, an adult, right?
Yes. So I'm proud to say my oldest daughter voted for the first time this election. So that was cute. And she was so proud. You know, she sent me picture of herself with her I voted sticker. So I told her I was proud of her and everything. Um, but mostly I talk to my daughters. I definitely try to help them navigate the current world we live in, as well as leave room for them to help me to help them navigate the world that they're kind of going to be occupying more so than I will as we age together. Um, Definitely making sure, especially with the oldest one, I can see the fruits of having been very open with talking to her about her life as a woman, you know, not just my daughter, not just my child, but like her options and things, especially with the whole conversation about procreation and everything to do with that for women moving forward. So she's been very informed, and I will just be there with her to try to navigate what her options will be and decision making. Same thing for my younger daughter. She's only 10 right now, but just staying open to having the necessary conversations as they come up because I'm just staying ready for anything at this point.
Yeah, well, you got to. There's a question coming in here, and then I'm going to go to the chat too because I saw there were some questions in the chat. So if you have questions in the chat, there is a Slido link, and you can put in your Slido, and it'll come up here. We can look at it. So please put it in there. So we have a question for Katie. Because Katie, I think this, they didn't put your name, but I think this is your story. So I think they're talking to you. So. It's like this is your story. So I think the question is, how does having a non-white husband help white women understand the plight of women of color?
That's a great question. Part of it lies in really understanding what white privilege is. I almost hate because the word privilege gets misappropriated. Yeah. The insidious part about white privilege is it's like I don't see it until I see it. And it's exhausting when you see it. I think one of the things that we should be doing is understanding the emotional labor and the mental labor load that are the women of color or even you know anybody of color is needs to exert to navigate in the same world I'm navigating in a much different way. You know, we've done, I think, a pretty good job highlighting how women, because you know, there's been a lot of educational and like meme-like things demonstrating how women navigate a world with men in it. But there's not been that way to talk about how, you know, people of color are navigating through this world. Like you know, I can't imagine having to stop and rethink how I cross the street. Like silly stuff, or how, you know, when you're in stores and stuff like that. It's exhausting. Get educated. White women, get educated. You don't have an excuse anymore, white women. Get educated, and you have to come from a place of facts, not mythology. You know, that's my advice. You have to do that. There's no excuse why white women are not educated in this. There's
Yeah.
just no excuse at this point.
So so I'm gonna bring James back up into this conversation too, because as a black man, you know, we've been hearing this thing, and we're not gonna bash James because he's the only guy nor or black man on here, right? But as a black man, we heard a lot of talk during this election, leading up to the election about how black men weren't supporting Kamala for president, right? So taking that as a small picture of it, just let's bring that out and just think about this as a community. Are black men? Do you think that black men as a whole not you personally, but when you're thinking about it as your demographic as a whole, do they just support Black women in general? And how can we move forward? Because as a community, and yes, and we have people that are not of color on here, but we all are a part of a community. But there is a special segment of this community that are us Black folk, right? What can you do? What do you see as far as how they support us and how we can come together and build that support? And what's the gap? What's the gap there?
Some of it is information. And I feel with a lot of things, some of that is a generational gap there as well. I must say that a lot of men that I know that think the way I do, we didn't agree with everything that Kamala put out, and that's okay. But I can tell you that one thing, we did not like the denigration of her, the name calling, because of our mothers, our daughters, and our sisters. And, politics gets nasty, it gets ugly. You have someone in particular who has been on the scene for 10 years who took that to a whole nother level. But so I think that defending that woman of color was extremely important. That's part of an honor for us. I mean, and any man should defend a woman, period. I also feel they got caught up, and again, misinformation. Well, she's not really Black. She said she was Indian when she was sworn in for Congress. But at the end of the day, you have to understand something. This country said you had to have 1/8 drop of blood and you were considered to be a minority. And regardless of the fact, whether it's her Indian side or her father's side that is from Jamaica, she's still a minority. She's still a woman of color. And I think they got caught up in that and they don't understand. A lot of the younger, this Gen Z, got caught up in the hype of the machismo and this macho-ness that the president-elect, wanted to put out there. And, hey, I like the fact that they just say what they want to say. Well, are you listening to what they're saying? And they don't listen because they don't, and some of them don't know about the Central Park Five or don't care to know.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have just not understood the $1,200 stimulus check was like, oh, he's taking care of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel an obligation that at my age, I mean, we have to do more to reach out to some of these younger Black men, because what they don't get is you can go out on the street and believe me, if they talked about your saggy pants, they talk about your dreads, and people that cross in the street, they're going to lock the door, Katie, on them. They're going to lock the door. And unfortunately, and I have to say this, you will never, ever be viewed strictly as a man for many in this country. But it will be the first viewpoint will be because of your color. Another problem is there is fear. And I have to say that fear stems from today. And I saw something very interesting that said that there were a lot of whites who voted the way they did because they want to preserve their majority. They feel like they're about to become a minority in this country. Okay. And rather than saying, how do we have this melting pot? Because this country was never discovered. You can't discover something that already was inhabited. And so, wherever your lineage is, unless you are a Native American Indian, you're an immigrant, period. And they lose sight of that. But there is a fear because as conquerors throughout history, that is what they've done. And this fear that it's okay from slavery is okay for you to nurse our babies and cook our food and do all of these things, but you're not good enough for this. And then you need to have a particular place. And so I think that it is having a greater understanding of who we are. And you got to know where you fit in as well. You have to.
Yeah.
And we have to have those same allies that they had back, in the 50s and 60s, when we were trying to, the freedom marchers and those types of people. It has to be, we cannot do this by ourselves, period. We just cannot, because you look at now where the African American race was in the 17 and 1800s going into the 1900s. That is where other immigrants, Hispanics, are now. We were the ones that picked the cotton and did that. They're the ones now that do all agriculturally, our strawberries and everything else. That is where they are. And who still is running that?
Right.
It's a lack of understanding. It's a lack of knowledge. And for as great as social media is now, it has the potential to influence in negative ways to a level and degree that we never could have thought, because it's hard to combat that when that's all they know. We read books growing up. Folks look at a 30-second soundbite.
Right. Well, yeah. So there's a question here, and I want to answer that because I really do, because this is my thing. The question is, and I really think that this is a question that I think everybody on this call, especially Sarah and Katie and Vicky, are going to know my answer to this thing right here about how liberals and Democrats can reach the youth better without being preachy like the Republicans did. So everybody knows how I feel about this. So let me just say this, that the Democratic Party has always been, well, in recent history, has always been elitist. The reason why I'm saying elitist is because they actually speak in language that of a collegiate level. And when we think about think about our country, most people in this country did not graduate from college. Most people in this country, even though they might have graduated from high school, because of the education system that it is, that kind of, and Katie can say that some people just get pushed on through, that the average is about a fourth grade reading level for the masses. Mm-hmm. So how can we talk to the youth? We need to, reach them is listen to them, right? Their problems are unique. Their problems are different than what we have. And we as a people need to, and yes, there are Republicans and Democrats and dinos on this call, okay? I will just say that because I know that for a fact, okay? So when I'm saying that is that it doesn't matter your party. It matters who the people are that are in politics. Let me give you a little lesson today about when I talk about we need to talk to them and educate them is really key to what you said, James. So this little thing that I have, I bought this and I have a pocket one and I gave it to my son. It's the Constitution of the United States. It's all gold and I thought it was very pretty. And I understand this, but you don't understand one thing about this thing. There's something called the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights are the first 10 amendments of your Constitution. We're going to have a history lesson today because I love talking about politics in the Constitution. So the first 10 amendments are there. They're there. They're not going to go away. Anything after the 10, 11 on, can be changed with an act of Congress. So the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 19th amendments can be changed and removed, just like they did with prohibition, putting it on and taking it off. They can do that with a stroke of Congress. And guess what we just did this term? We basically gave these people that want to subjugate women and people of color the executive branch. They already had the judicial branch, and now they have both houses in the legislation. So if they decided in January, on January 21st, to put a bill to remove the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 19th Amendment, they could actually do that. So we have to inform our kids of what they are voting for. We need to stop voting on party lines and vote on who the character is and
Yep.
what your interests are and see who has your best interest at heart. And I'm not going to say just because somebody is Black, they have the Black people interest at heart, but you need to listen to what they are saying. One thing we need to say is that we need to take people for what they are. I am a lot older than some people, and I can tell you this as any relationship, because I also do coaching as far as relationship building. And I'm gonna say that one thing I tell people is that you can't accept people for what you want them to be. You have to accept them for who they are and who they show you you can, right? And we have to take that and teach them what that means, understanding what it means. Oh, well, he's going to go get the people and get tariffs. Do you understand that the majority of the people about tariffs, how they work? We need to educate them and not being preachy. And it might seem preachy, and I might sound preachy right now because I'm very excited because I love this subject. Is because we have to understand our rights so we can know what we're fighting for, because we don't know that they already, yes, people, they already took away a plenty of things that protected people of color when it came down to giving us, able to get jobs and things of that nature. If they really cared about what we did and Black people, why do they have to vote every 25 years, I think it is, Katie, to reestablish what they
Exactly.
did
The Voter Rights
in
Act.
1967 when Martin Luther King and them? If they really wanted us to have it, they wouldn't have to re-vote on it every 25 years. So this is the stuff that we need to understand as people. And yes, I am not saying we need to run away from everybody. We're here, okay? I can say that I can say this, that I can pull something up and show you that I'm probably more American than a lot of people that's watching this right now, because I can prove that my family been here for a long time. May not have been on the Mayflower, but we came on some other boat, and I can prove that my great whatever grandfather was transported from, what was it, South Carolina down to Georgia on a slave manifest, because we are part of America. We're not trying to leave here. And I think that when we think about Black women, when we think about us as the other, we're not the other. The Black women are the most educated group in this country. Okay, that's not me saying that because I'm a Black woman. That is a statistical fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's a statistical fact. But how many businesses are we leading? How many companies are we leading? How many of us are having businesses that can really sustain our lives, right? Not
But it's
many of
because that education. It's that education, and the thing is,
but they getting ready to stop.
this
Hold on, let me
this
finish.
was
They getting ready
meant
stop
to
this
continue to
education.
keep certain people down.
Mm-hmm.
But they getting ready to stop this education because let me see right here, because I was looking at it. So we know that we have the Deputy Chief of Staff and Policy for Homeland Security and advisor is going to be Stephen Miller. We're going to have the Department of Government Efficiency is going to be Elon Musk and Vivek. Okay, Ramaswamy.
Right.
Okay, we have to look and see that things are about to change drastically in this country, and how are we going to react? And I want to give this one thing before you get in there, because I told everybody, if they listen, that I'm going to tell Black women what they want more than anything that you can think of. They want your money. That we are the biggest spending group, and we need to understand that there's power in our money. Okay, so we need to spend, as opposed to just electing people that are in our interests. We need to start spending our money with people that
But
are
that's
our values.
always. But the thing is, it's education. Listen.
But we have to understand, before we can educate them, they have to understand
I agree with
why. So that, wait, as a consultant, there's a book, and I'm going to talk about that in this talk I have tomorrow. There's a book called Starting with Why. If we don't tell people why you're doing this, then you will never understand. You won't even open yourself up to hear what needs to be done. And the part about it is telling them why. It's not about, well, you need to do it because historically you were slaves and da, da, da. No, what's in it for them? And we have to start there. And the reason why we haven't got to those youth is because we didn't stop and tell them what's in it for them. And
I don't
what's
think we knew they didn't do the message right. They thought
yeah,
they were telling them what was in it for them, but they were using the wrong language.
yeah,
And
Exactly.
it comes back to the fact that, what James was saying, when we were in school, we had the books and we understood and we knew, hey, we were that generation that were born just as the rights were handed over.
yeah.
So we always knew that education over time, that's kind of been removed. People don't understand they may have been born with it, but just one or two generations before that, they weren't born with it. And I think that's where people are missing the point. They're thinking that these inalienable rights were always there for everybody, but they haven't done their homework to realize that they weren't.
And let me tell you something.
Exactly.
Katie and I, there's only one reason that I know Katie. Because desegregation. If it wasn't for the desegregation program in our city, I would have had to go to the neighborhood school. The neighborhood school, which wouldn't have been the school that me and her went to, right? We went to a magnet school, an academic
Right.
school, and I'm trying to wait. Let me finish this one thing. And if it wasn't for those things, we wouldn't have been able to have those things and be exposed to those things. We are sheltering our children, and I'm going to, this is a whole conversation we can have because I could tell you that I could say Gen X. I blame Gen X's behavior on Gen Z's behavior on Gen X because those were our babies, and we did something
Well, you're
that
right.
our parents did, which was coddle them. Our parents never did that with us.
No, they didn't. And to your point, listen, I integrated a white private school as the first African American.
Yep.
In my hometown. They actively sought to do that. My parents worked in corporate America, so I was able to do that. So there are certain things that I learned and didn't come to realize at a very young age. But again, it does the why. I agree with you. We have to understand the why. Yes, they want our money, but we misplace our money. If you have to understand, we are the only race where a dollar does not circulate one time in their community.
And that's what we need to change.
Before it
And that's
leaves.
change. That's
Okay, and that's what I'm saying. We're the only ones whereby if you look at Hispanics, you look at Asians, and how I lived in Atlanta for 15 years. The Asian community there, those businessmen have a pot of money. If you want to come over and open up a dry cleaners or a nail salon, they don't worry about you going to the bank. They're going to fund that within their community. People talk about Hispanics. They're going to get one house, 10 of them going to live there. Do you know how much money that the Hispanics send back to Mexico on a yearly basis? Because this president-elect at one point was going to try to cut that off. It is that much money. We have always been separated to not be able to work that way. The last time we had anything close to that was Black Wall Street. And what happened to that?
So let's think about this. Okay. We're all on here business owners. Every single person on this call that's in this call are business owners. As business owners, even though we may be of same race, same sex, different colors, whatever it is, we all are business owners. And that paperwork, right, that it came down, that possible strategy that came down will affect all of us, right? In different ways. And we have to be, vigilant to move forward. So yes, we could say that there's historic nature to all of this stuff. We all, and we on this call know that maybe there is an opportunity here for us to move forward. We can look and see what happened with Black Wall Street and see where they went wrong and make it better because if we take our time and in this moment, it's time for us to move forward, to come together. And when I said that, what about the money? I mean it. I mean, Katie knows that I talked about this, and Sharon knows that Sarah, I think everybody on this call knows what I'm talking about. And, we'll get into it a little bit deeper because not just me and my little microcosm. It's you over there. It has to be something that it has to be bigger than all, because it's bigger than all of us. Because every single person that's in this chat right now are going to be affected by the social parts of it just because of who they are. And we have to realize that there's more things that make us common, like that we have more in common than we do apart. And we have to understand this one thing about the reason why people voted for Trump, and I'm going to tell you why I knew he was going to win, was because he spoke to their pain. Even if he didn't come up with a plan and said, I have ideas of a plan, he spoke to their pain. And we have to understand that we're in pain now, right? So now it's time for us to speak to our pain. And those people that might have voted for him, or that might come along when they see that we're not fighting you, because I understand it. I'm not mad at anybody because of this election. It is what it is. But we are here now. So as a business owner, I want to do a round robin. How do you feel? What can you do? Not know how do you feel, but what can you do? What do you think you're going to do to mitigate those changes that's going to happen if Project 2025 goes into play? Because as a small business owner, I can tell you that as a small business owner, there are some valuable things in 2025, but as a person and who I am and my values, it's in contradiction, right? So that's the thing, right? So that's the rub. So can you tell me, and I think, Vicky, you're the person that I see right now because you're just right there in the top of my screen. I don't know why you were right there, but you're here now. And we're going to go through and we're going to talk to Vicky, then we're going to go to James, and then we're going to keep on going. So Vicky, you tell me, as a business owner or something like a business owner, because you don't want to say you want a business. How are you going to, what are your thoughts on how you're going to navigate this time?
So I'm actually having to take a step back and telling you I still have to think about it, because the things that I'm passionate about, things that I'm trying to inspire people to do, is planning for the future. And a lot of that has to do with a lot of the cuts that they're trying to make. Social Security, Medicare, senior care. And so that's where I'm really trying to really wrap my head around this and see what type of resources that we can pull together to help these folks. Because, if they get rid of ACA, like I said, I was laid off last year. But you know what? As my husband says, we had FU money. So I walked away. I didn't try to find another job at 55. But that doesn't mean that everybody's going to be able to have that. A lot of people that got laid off are actually banking on the fact that, hey, I'm going to be able to afford healthcare with ACA and do a little side business printing T-shirts. Well, if ACA goes away, they have no healthcare. Or if they have healthcare, they're going to have healthcare that's, including pre-existing conditions, going to price them out of the market. So that's the type of thing that I'm trying to really wrap my head around. And what can I do to educate people and help them navigate that new reality, should it become a reality?
Well, I'm going to take a sidebar with that. It's like, yeah, me and you need to have a one-on-one, because I actually combed over that project, and and we can put our heads
Well,
together.
I know you. Well, I'm saying I know we've combed over, but the reality of the details in it, that's what we kind of
and
need
we
to
don't know the
understand.
details yet, though. We won't know the details until it goes into effect. We just won't know it. But
You're
what
right.
I will, you're right, and then that's the scary part. Like, just tell me what it is. Like, rip the Band-Aid off. Tell me what it really is going to be. Stop BSing around, right? What is it going to be? But yeah, there are some things, and there's some things that I'm working through to help that through, and hopefully, we'll it's more to come, everybody, more to come, because I am very passionate about this. My tagline is passions to profit. What I'm really talking about right now has nothing to do with profit. It's all about passion right now, because my people and other people, I just want to make sure they're okay. So James, as a business owner, because you have your own business, how are you thinking that you're going to be able to navigate through? Is there something that's like, well, I know this is going to happen, or I think this is going to happen, and how this is how I'm going to get through that, or give some advice to business owners out there as well?
Well, it's kind of twofold. I mean, I had to find a way when COVID hit. So people were shut up. They were going crazy. They were like, oh my gosh, we can't go to restaurants, things like that. People discovered what having a personal chef and those kind of things were. That actually grew my business tremendously. So I look at some things now with tariffs and other things, and am really making and looking. I've got to kind of see what the landscape brings. But one thing that I know I'm looking to do is to create some stronger ties and bonds with a lot more of the local farmers in this area. One, because of their fresh produce is still going to be much less expensive. Um, I think initially with these tax cuts and things, people are going to go on their little spending spree, and some corporate businesses are going to love this because it's just putting money in their pocket. So it's really looking at what that landscape looks like. Where do I see my inroads? Where do I kind of step in there? But I'm looking at it twofold because I do know that there is going to be a downside to this. And so I think really forming some more partnerships and relationships locally within a metro of where I am is going to be very, very beneficial when it comes to like the catering portion of my business.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan, And I was thinking about when you said that local, that is going to be something that we're going to have to really dig into with that. So Katie, I'm going to come to you next because I'm just going to go like this and that. So Katie, you're next.
Okay, I'm next. So I guess my business is a bit different than most conventional businesses. I'm a researcher and a program evaluator. So I'm not as dependent on supply chains as, let's say, James might be. And I also have the privilege of living in Massachusetts where the Affordable Care Act was kind of old news by the time it hit the national stage. So we do have access to healthcare. I think what's going to really affect me is the policy changes, and the policy changes in particular with regards to education and also with policing and youth services. I think that's what's going to affect us. Again, it's a little bit more tempered up here in Massachusetts because we do have a very liberal government. Maybe they lean into the neoliberal government a bit more because it's having that democratic elitist up here. But I do think that it will affect me, but it'll affect me at a slower rate than other people in different parts of this country. And I need to stay sensitive to that as well because it's going to impact a lot of people very negatively very soon.
Yeah. Yep. It sure can. I think it's going to be fine, and then it's going to turn. So next is Kiana. So you have a business, but you're in school, right? And your daughter's in school, and there's going to be changes. They want to defund the Department of Education. So there's programs that might stop, for your child. So it's not even just about business. So how are you going to navigate through these changes as a business owner, as a mother? Because there is a lot that's going to affect your immediate home and life.
Right. Um, and while, we had the conversation and I told you, like, I can't disagree with what you said, about why certain people won and certain people lost. I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing, staying informed, networking, researching, planning, just making sure that I know what and who I need to be able to navigate the new landscape because that is the only way to be able to adapt and move forward.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, yep. All righty. We're going to go up to Sarah. So how are you going to do it? I mean, you're still consulting. You're doing all kinds of stuff. So, how are you going to navigate and move through all of this?
Well, my bread and butter isn't going to change, but my own entrepreneurial efforts, I'm going to do two things. One is to step forward, but another is to step back. So on the step back side, I'm going to James' point, I believe it was James who was saying, watch where your money goes. Spend your money with people who support the same, the same focus, the same vision. So paying attention to where my money goes and giving it to the right people who are going to give me the service or goods or whatever. So that's the first thing. The other thing is stepping forward. So what always rings in my mind is I can't remember what administration it was, but all of a sudden, and I want to say it was after 9/11, but maybe it was even more recent than that. All of a sudden, folks from the Middle East or India were under attack socially. And there were people of my demographic who would step forward and stand next to those people. And so from a business perspective, I kind of want to do the same thing. So the folks that need my support from a web presence or a marketing presence, I want to pick and choose my clients in that space so that I can support from a business perspective and also from a monetary perspective. And so those are the two things I intend to do.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. So there is one more person before I get in and get on my little pulpit. Sharon, how are you going to navigate this? Because you're in a social space and there's going to lack of funding and all kinds of stuff. Like, I mean, you and Katie both, like, so how are you going to navigate this stuff? Don't shake your head. We're gonna have to figure this out.
Well, one of the things I am going to continue to do my community service, right? And there's ways that we do community service. And during COVID, we learned that we couldn't touch people, right? We had to do things electronically. We had to do things on Zoom. And we figured out ways to do it. So I know as a people, we will continue to figure out how to service people with the fact that a lot of funding will be cut. The things about the organizations that I belong to, we don't rely on funding from programs. We actually give funding, and the way we give it is in the communities. We have fundraisers and we give it back to the community, what we raise. So, of course, that maybe those things will change, the different things, the different fundraising that we have going forward. But I will continue to educate the communities on what's getting ready to happen, this Project 2025, because it's a lot with Project 2025. And just make them aware of other resources that they can tap into and who they can lean on. And that will be some of the community work that the organizations that I belong to, what we actually do. I'm not so familiar with a lot of the cuts where education is concerned, and that's something that I do want to read up a lot more on, because as we spoke earlier, Black women are educated, very educated. We've gone back to school. We believe in education. But then I've heard, I haven't read, that a lot of our males, our African American males, are going to be subjected to military and not have an opportunity to go to college. So there's a lot that I need to learn in regards to the education side for 2025. And once I get that under my belt, I will educate those out there who may not know as well. So
Yeah, yeah. So, and the one thing I'm going to say is to you is that with everything you just said, even though everything is seemed like it's private funded, you go into the community may not have enough funds to give to you to help with those initiatives. And there is a piece of it. They do want to reduce public education funding. So that's federal public education. And remember, each state gets a piece of that funding. And now that funding goes to and the state goes to the municipalities or the cities to run their schools. So if they were and a lot of what we do to educate our kids does come from our federal government. Katie's shaking her head because that's what happens. So that's going to drastically reduce the things that are there for our children, as far as how we're going to mitigate these things through 2025. So Sharon can attest to this, that after election, I got up in the morning, I was up for a few hours, and I think by 9 o'clock, she had this big old, page document going through 2025. How is it going to affect our business? What is it going to do? What is it going to do for Black women business? What can we do? What are our path forward? And there is a path forward. There is opportunity there. And I know people are like, I know everybody was like a lot of doom and gloom in this conversation. But there are a couple of people in this class, in this thing, that have taken my business classes, and they can tell you that my word is always be opportunistic. And that's not a bad word, because and I said to other people that there's always, I won't say the other people's gonna say, but I'll just leave that there. But I'll say that in a private company. But what I'm saying is that there's opportunity, and I'm looking over here because I'm looking at this document because I want to make sure that there's there. There is a way that we can start looking at, alternative funding similar to what you're talking about, leveraging some of the local resources, because our cities are kind of little pieces of pockets of things that we can do, that they have little pockets of money that we can go into. We need to be focus on innovation. I'm going to tell you something, that if you are a person of color, STEM is one of those big things that if you ever you just get into it. It's something that, if you're young enough to keep going to college. And and when I say you're young enough, not necessarily young in age, but young in heart and young in spirit, because I think anybody can go back to school at any time. I was an adult learner myself. So we have to understand that we have to advocate for what we believe in. The one thing I would say too is that as a coach, as a consultant, I tell people that strategy, there is a strategic advantage for living your values. So in what Sarah was talking about, being selective about who she does business with, who she takes on as clients, as a business owner, that's something you could do. And you can do that as an individual as well. It's not that you don't have to go to that store that treated you like crap. Yeah, you might have to walk a couple of blocks to go to the other store that's going to treat you nicely. But if more people stop giving money to people that don't like you, that person will understand that they may never like you, but they will respect you. Okay. And that sometimes that's all we have to look for. So what I'm doing here is, looking at strategic, we're already in the middle of a company strategic plan.
And another thing, oh, sorry.
So looking at businesses and looking at how we can support other businesses, because that is actually our values, right? We're going to live, I told them, and Sharon can sit there and say, that I said, I don't care who runs this election. I said this in the summer. We're going to live our values. We're going to commit to living our values in 2025, regardless of who is the president. And one of our values is being socially, having a social commitment. And this is one of the conversations that we're having as part of that, because the election not only affected, business wise, but socially, and we're all in it together. So I put my link in there, my bio. So if you're on YouTube, just subscribe to my channel. I do put out some information and we're going to be putting out a lot of more information out there. Trust me, when I say that I have an idea, I'm not going to, put it out there, but it is about our money. Yes. Yeah, I said it is about our money that we need to understand what we're going to do because we have to be frugal with it. Now, why we have to be frugal with it? Because we might have less of it. Okay.
And to your point, I don't mean to cut you off. I do think, on a positive note, I think we have to understand that there are some unique opportunities as well. You got to understand something. On last Wednesday, Jeff Bezos earned $29 billion and did not lift a finger. Elon Musk, double that. And typically, when a new Republican administration comes in and they've already declared the tax cuts and the things that they're going to do, and I go back and hearken to we have to find the opportunities are there. It's just that we sometimes don't know how to seek them, we don't know how to go about them, and we don't know how to find them. So yes, there will be those opportunities. To what you're trying to do, Rolanda, is to bring that together for us to come up with some solutions and some ways that we can tap in there as well. Don't think that we can't make no money because this is their business when they come into office, is to find a way to line their pockets even more. We just need to do our due diligence to figure that out. And so I do feel confident that if we can bring and come together to understand where those opportunities are, we can take advantage of them as well.
And that's so funny. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Please, Sharon, you go ahead and talk.
It's so funny because I know Rolanda and I had this conversation, I think, right after the day after the election, how the stock market went up. And my cousin and I just had a conversation yesterday. Have you checked your 401? I was like, girl, I check it every day since the election. So to Rolanda's point and your point, there has to be ways. If they're doing it, we could do it too. And Rolanda brought up recently, like the Grubhub, what are they called?
Black and Mobile,
Yeah. I never heard of it. And then I've Googled and it's right there. So, there's things that we could tap into as well. So that, we could be there too. I wish I had discovered Amazon. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Elon Musk is about to have SpaceLink and is dropping all of these satellites in order to provide service in underserved places. And I can almost guarantee you they're setting up for an IPO next year, that along with another one of his businesses that he's looking to do that with. So, I mean, there's some things we need to monitor. We need to make ourselves aware of that. I'm not going to say they're going to be the same, groundbreaking as us getting into Amazon, but you can best believe it will provide us some inroads where, we can stack a little bit just like they do.
Yeah. So I'm going to say this, and Sarah and Sharon can attest to this for sure. That I'm saying that there is something, because I got it right here, that is bigger, big as design. And I'm telling you, and it's not for me. It's not going to be Jeff Bezos. It's about us as a human, as a human family that had the same values, because let me just say this is that if anybody has been watching my Ask a Coach session, and this is what this is Ask a Coach. I can talk about my business, y'all, because this is what this is, okay? But if anybody been watching my Ask a Coach sessions on Wednesday, I've been telling people for a long time that there is a strategic advantage for every business to lead with their values, right? To make decisions based on values, because the younger generations actually make decisions with purchasing decisions, not elections. We found that out, not elections, but purchasing decisions based off of values. So we have to make sure that we're leaning into those values. And if we lean into our values and stay true to our values, we can go to put our head in night and wonder why, wonder where how good we did, regardless of this. There is a reason why people are very stingy and are coming from a place of lack. Okay, and this is the thing about us as a people, as human people, human race. There's a place of is in our minds of coming from lack, and that's why I don't want Vicky to get none. I don't need Vicky to have none of this because Vicky might take too much, and I don't, I need this. I'm not really hungry, but I might want that cake 3 days from now, so I ain't going to share with nobody. Ain't going to tell nobody that I got it because that's how we are. But when you come from a place of abundance, you already understand that there is enough. There is enough. You know why there's enough? Because everybody doesn't want to be Jeff Bezos.
Right.
Everybody doesn't want to be Elon Musk. Some people just want to be that businessman that lives in that house that you don't know what they do, but they're okay, and so is their family. Okay.
That's me.
And we have to come together as a community, and I want to leave in this because we've been on, oh God, look, girl, we've been, but it's been a good conversation. I have to say that.
Did I not tell you? Did I not tell you?
I want to do this again. I need to get this panel back and get some more people in here because this was a good conversation.
Been awesome.
Yeah.
Been really awesome.
So when we come together, we need to understand that when we're building these things out, that we want to build it out in a way that everybody that has let's say like values, like vision, like mission, right? That we get those people and we align ourselves with those people and we go ahead and circulate our money in that community. We're going to take our ball and go home. And Sharon's laughing because I've been saying it all week long. So I'm going to take my ball and go home. I ain't going to play with them. I'm not going to. If you don't want to play with me, so what? I'm going to be just like a little kid. So what? I'm going to take my ball and go home. And because guess what? Ain't that what's happening with what they doing?
And to tag team on what you were saying is, I think that a lot of people, from the chat, from the comments that are coming in, all is not hopeless.
No.
We've weathered the storms in the past, and how we weathered them in the past is we rallied around our communities, and now is the time to circle those wagons again.
That's one of the things that has given me comfort in this, week out, is seeing how the reaction was, oh well, okay, and don't bother me. You know what I like? You wanted it, you got it, cool. Don't look at me. And I love that for us. I really, really do.
Right. Sarah, Vicky, Sarah and Katie, you have anything else to say as we're starting to close this out here?
Well, I feel really honored, really, to be considered as part of this panel. I'm thrilled, and I loved the conversation, and I mean it in every way. I just want to continue for us to support each other, and I love how you say we're a human family. That's a great way to think about it, because it's not a race thing, it's not a gender thing. It's how do we all fit together because we have the same values, and that makes us a family. I really like that. Yeah, I'm gonna hang on to that one.
Yeah. Well, listen, you've been in my family for 4 years now. You can't get rid of me. You can't get rid of me. And Katie, you've been here for 5 years now in my life, because that's since I was in high school. So you only know me for 5 years, but it's okay. So Katie, how are you feeling?
It was a good job.
I mean, I'm appreciative, and I first want to thank you for inviting me to be a part of this panel. I think you ladies are absolutely incredible in your own individual rights. I hope we get a chance to come together and break more bread like this again, because this is where it starts. I mean, we're on the East Coast and the West Coast, and so we got everything in between. So definitely this has enlightened my evening, and an absolute pleasure. Maybe I'll get a chance to put the knives to work and we all get together and have dinner. I'll be happy to cater that for y'all. But thanks so much. This has been fantastic. And I look forward to more of this in the future.
Yeah, well, we hold you to fixing us food. His name is the Romantic Chef, so find him on Instagram. And if you see Kiana, listen,
Writing it down.
Right.
Listen, we already we've been told. We've been told.
Yeah.
I do travel as well. I do travel, so don't let that stop.
He says his things. I have not full travel, so it doesn't matter where you are, Vicky. Sometimes he's over there. Oh, you too, Sarah. You both on the West Coast. So yeah, we're north and south, east and west. I think this is really awesome. There's multiple states. There red states, blue states, purple states. We're all here, and we're here together. And we're having this conversation, and I would probably, this is a special edition of this, and I hope, eventually that we, can do something else. And Katie, our conversation about our little podcast, we got to get this done, because see how this is. This was a really good conversation, and moving forward, that's all we got to do. Moving forward, we just need to move forward. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, we're not alone. No, we have community around us, and all is not lost.
And we're a community, right? Like we are a community. We are the community.
Yes, ma'am.
Remember that.
Y'all my peoples now.
That's right.
We're all singing Michael Jackson, "You Are Not Alone." Yeah, okay, we all sing that song. Like, so everybody understand that. Listen, it's getting late. Anybody can tell you that when it's getting late, I get a little silly, and I'll come out with music lyrics, or or from a play, or a musical in movies. So because I just liked entertainment so much. I guess that came from the musical school that I went to. But anyway. Anyway, I always love music. Anyway, it's almost 10 o'clock. I appreciate everybody is there. I do see there's some comments in that questions that might be that have in Slido. So if we didn't get to your questions in Slido, if I didn't get to, and I know Kiana, thank you so much. You were talking to people in the chat. I will get to those chats, and I will respond to things, and I will comment on it and say, "Go girl, you got it." But follow my channel, guys. There's a lot of information on. It's going to be a lot of information on there. And if you're looking to start a business, I gave my link out there in there. If you're looking to start a business, just go ahead in there. I think it's a link in there, and I'll make sure I put it in there right now, so I can tell you if you're looking to start a business and you want to connect with me. Guess what? You can talk to me for free. Yup, I said it. Free. Talk to me for free. Get a half an hour of my time, and I will help you go through it, or whatever it is that you are. I'm a business coach, and I do also other type of consulting as well, and coaching as well. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And I'm making sure that I'm putting everything, that the link there, so you can have it. And this was great. This was absolutely great. And I appreciate everybody joining tonight. And this conversation has been it's been needed. And we're going to keep having it. We're going to keep talking about it, because we're not going to be pacified this time. We're not going to be pacified anymore. Not anymore. Because we understand this. We're stronger. We're stronger together. Oh, see, I was getting ready to say something from Planet of the Apes when he said ape strong. Yeah. Look, Vicky knows I always say some movie stuff. Y'all, I'm gonna let everybody go. Thank you guys. Thank you, my panel.
Thank you for the vision.
Great, ladies.
Bye, everybody. And thank you for joining.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Good night, everybody. Nice meeting everybody.
Good night. Nice meeting you.